There was a coalition ambush that was launched by the FLA and the JNIM on the Soumpi military outpost in Mali. These jihadists migrated from the region of Kasum and they migrated towards the Soumpi region. Unfortunately for them, they were being found, while they were advancing on the Soumpi outpost. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this operation, the military haven't got the right intel and the good surveillance to know how many advancing jihadists was coming towards the Soumpi camp. These jihadists did not pass through the conventional route, because if they had passed through the conventional route, they must have being in some sort of exchange with some of the little checkpoints you have before you get to the Soumpi outpost. So they avoided that contact that would have alerted the troops, but they did not know that the troops were already prepared and waiting. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a spurious assault like you've never seen before. But without no further ado, let's show you the FLA fighters that joined up with the JNIM to launch this offensive. Ladies and gentlemen, in this video are the FLA fighters. Now, when they got to the Soumpi outpost, about 100 meters to the Soumpi outpost, they started firing. But the Malians were effective with their firepower. Ladies and gentlemen, the jihadists advanced within the touching distance. I mean, this exchange got to the point where you add less than, let's say, 50 meters, you add less than 20 meters. There were some that were even close to the sandbags. But ladies and gentlemen, this battle continued for 1 hour 30 minutes until the farmers of Mali were able to delete 92 jihadists. They were able to seize in this operation several motorcycles in the number of 23, and 2 pickup trucks were being caught, while some motorcycles were completely, devastated. Ladies and gentlemen, it took the serious resilience of the Malian armed forces to actually turn this jihadi offensive into a failed ambush. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the information we have, Colonel Saidu has finally journeyed to the Soumpi outpost to go and congratulate the troops on the valiant performance that they put in against these jihadists. Ladies and gentlemen, who would have believed that this number of jihadists, with the fire, with the equipment, with the capabilities they came in, because they used mortars, they fired 15 drones, kamikaze drone, into the camp before they even advanced on the camp. Before they crossed the 100-meter threshold to the camp, they fired 15 kamikaze drones. Some were intercepted, some were jammed by the electronic warfare, some were shot down with a shotgun. But ladies and gentlemen, what really stood out was the close combat. I mean, I give it up for the Malians at this point. So this is a great offensive. The Malians have actually posted, through so many unofficial sources, the casualties that was recorded on the enemy side. Now, the beautiful thing for me here was that so many FLA fighters were, they were gets, you know what I mean? And that is the most important thing for me here, right? So we've seen that, look, these jihadists, they don't even get to gain from the minerals, okay? They don't get to gain from anything. They are being recruited by one country and one country alone. And this country has shown so far so good that whatever way or form, they want to continue to invest in propagandas and in so many lies just for one purpose, to destabilize the Sahel, because it's against their interests. Ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to the words of Assimi Goïta.
Parce que ni groupe njate wala groupe flade be wafuma état islamique ni jenim bon uluk menu be keleke um état islamique drone kele no be operation ke asne ki vice président ko général bena abuna carte da ou operation to gumna no carte wasto jate wala groupe flade u be rodone do wafo gono afra luka état islamique de kele ou jenim kele no muna tout la be jate wala moya ko non be état islamique de kele wo uludum flade ba en kele.
Now, in this video, Assimi Goïta is saying that some delegations of a certain countries, if you listen to the video where he said Jenim, and he mentioned ISSP, that's IS, Islamic State in Sahel province. He said the delegations of these countries, they came to him and they told him, please, leave the JNIM alone. You can clear up the EIGS, you can clear up the IS in Sahel province and all of that, but please just leave the JNIM for us. You know, at the end of the day, the JNIM is their tool of destabilization. That is why we need to understand the concept of this war. You see, different nations that have interest in your countries have different fighting groups. When you hear JNIM is for a different country, right? And you all know the country. The main country that has been actively playing this game of destabilization in the Sahel, they are the ones responsible for the JNIM. When you hear IS in Sahel province, that is another country entirely. When you hear EIGS, that is another country entirely. When you hear about the JAS, that is another country entirely. You see, so sometimes the interest of these nations can, it can clash. That is why you hear that the IS in Sahel province and the JNIM, they've been deleting themselves recently, spuriously deleting themselves. It is because they have conflicting interests, because the interest of their funders is what they are fighting for. So when they get to a certain location and part of the plan that was given to them is that you have to take control of this territory, and they find other jihadists there, they start clashing. They are all, they worship the same, in the same religion, they have the same faith and all of that. They are both jihadists. So you would have asked, if truly they are fighting jihad, why should they be fighting against themselves? It is because it was not even jihad in the first place. It is because they are working for certain funders. And it is the interest of the funders that will determine how they react on the line of contact, even when they meet. Are they not all mujahids? So get the game. It is not about the fact that these people are savage. It is about the fact that the people that are funding them are the savages. So good job from the Malian armed forces. Now, Assimi Goïta has been doing a lot of job, overtly and covertly. So when all this old talk of fuel blockade and the rest were coming out, you can see that Assimi Goïta was very, very calm, because he knows what we don't know. He hears what we don't hear. And the best answer he could give them at that point was to be quiet. You see, silence sometimes is a billion words that are left unspoken, but the enemies can hear it loud and clear. They were confused. They started saying different things. And part of the confusion, right? Because Assimi Goïta did not say anything. He didn't say nothing. So what did they start doing? They started panicking. They started releasing a lot of panic comment and all of that. Now, recently, the French ministry, the foreign ministry of France in Mali released the statement. They released the letter that all French citizens in Mali should leave Mali immediately. Right? There was no response. The pro-Malian, the Pan-African media started debunking and all of that. We did not even need to debunk. I was just looking at this news. I was just following along the line. And guess what happened? The French citizens that are staying inside Mali, by themselves, they started blasting the president of France. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, let me show you the video of one of the French citizens in Mali. First of all, this video was recorded in France, so this is the French version.
Quitter temporairement le Mali dès que possible, c'est la recommandation du ministère français des Affaires étrangères. 4300 de nos ressortissants sont recensés au Mali. Une note leur a été envoyée alors que la capitale Bamako et de nombreuses régions du pays font face à un blocus djihadiste ces derniers jours. Les déplacements par voie terrestre restent déconseillés car les routes nationales...
Bonsoir à tout le monde. Donc voilà, je voulais faire une petite...
Right? So with our AI tool, we use agent. So we're able to translate it to English because most of the people we speak to on this platform are English speakers. So let's listen to the English version.
Leaving Mali temporarily as soon as possible is the recommendation from the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs. 4,300 of our nationals are registered in Mali. A notice was sent to them as the capital, Bamako, and many regions of the country have been facing a jihadist blockade in recent days. Travel by land remains discouraged because the national road...
Good evening, everyone. So here it is. I wanted to make a short video to follow up on what I posted for you earlier. And I would like to address Mr. Macron. Mr. Macron, you are calling on your French nationals to return from Mali as soon as possible. You can't just leave us forgotten like this. I'm going to ask you, let's say in 15 days, how many French nationals will come back here? I'm willing to bet there won't be a single one. All the French people in Mali will stay there. Because you're trying to scare people and you forget that with social media, people talk to each other. Mr. Macron, with social media, people talk to each other. I got some news from Bamako today, by the way, thanks to those who replied to me. And for them, for the Malians, everything is fine. There was indeed a diesel shortage, but it was quickly resolved. Security was quickly restored, and life went back to normal. So, Mr. Macron, don't try to scare people and tell us in a little while how many French nationals have returned from Mali. I'd be curious to know, because even as things stand now, I'm ready to go there myself. I'm ready to go live there, and actually what you're doing is propaganda, Mr. Macron. Do you realize what you're doing? It's time to start growing up. And if you need a teacher, Mr. Macron, get yourself a simiguita.
You can see that even the citizens of these particular countries, they don't even rate them. They don't even rate the regime. The regime don't even have the solidarity of its own citizens. Even their own citizens, they know what's up. So what more of we that are Africans? Get the game. Don't fall for the reading. Now let's move forward, right? The president of Nijer, President General Abdurrahman Chiani, said some very important things. And this intel he actually gave really holds a key point around the turning point of this whole event. See, everything is escalating right now. And for everyone that continue to choose to support the enemy side, what happens to them at the end of the day is that because you're supporting the enemy side, either the funders or whoever, when the steam gets hot in the Sahel, the enemy forces will withdraw back to your territory. We've overtly and covertly heard that, you know, some of those jihadists, they run into this country's border when the steam gets hot in the Sahel. But ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to the words of General Abdurrahman Chiani.
À notre grande surprise, allez-y vérifier. Aujourd'hui, là où je vous parle, à l'aéroport de Tourou. Tourou est un aéroport dont la piste fait 3300 mètres.
And again, this was documented in French, so we had to convert it back to English using our AI tool so that a lot of people can comprehend very fast. Let's watch the video.
To our great surprise, go check for yourself. Today, as I speak to you at the Tourou airport. Tourou is an airport with a runway that is 3,300 meters long, just 15 to 20 kilometers at most west of Parakou. You will see, for instance, in Tourou, in the W National Park, and in the Pendiari region, all of the forces that we expelled from our national territory, as well as across the border with the brotherly country of Chad, have ultimately ended up on Beninese territory. While those who thought we simply liked to point fingers were taking their time to wake up and truly understand France's unwavering determination and clear intent to destabilize us. This is the fundamental truth, and we will never stop saying it. Just the day before yesterday, an amphibious helicopter carrier called Tonnerre docked at the autonomous port of Cotonou, which is located in West Africa. On board there were thousands of French soldiers. They'll tell you it's just an exercise. How many ports, in your opinion, are actually more suitable or better equipped than the Beninese port for conducting this particular kind of exercise, which involves complex logistics and coordination? And, as far as I'm aware, up to this point in time, this must be, without a doubt, the 10th successful landing operation that has been carried out via amphibious helicopter carriers, which are specialized naval vessels designed for such missions. On December 7th, there was an order, and we have been following them regularly. This is their 10th landing in Cotonou. That's why. Despite the current lull, and despite the recent resumption of the initiative, we urge you to remain highly vigilant at all times, both during deployment and while in cantonment. Please stay vigilant, stay alert, and always maintain your awareness. Listen. Listen to the advice of the military authorities and your direct commands. They clearly know what they're talking about, and they're absolutely speaking in the interest of national security. Thank you so much for everything you do, for all that you have done, and for what you will be called upon to do in the future to keep our country standing strong and united. We are currently organizing ourselves and preparing for what lies ahead. At the national level and at the confederal level, so that the confederal space, the troubled Sahel region, so that we are no longer always put in a position of necessity, in a position of beggars, so that this space is no longer occupied by beggars, but by a new generation of people who are proud, dignified, and capable of taking charge of their own destiny, their own future, and their own development. And for that very reason, in order to achieve this important and noble goal, the state, acting within the full extent of its abilities and resources, will provide you with all the necessary means and support that are available within its capabilities, so that the sacrifices you have made in the past, as well as those you may be called upon to make in the future, are not rendered meaningless or in vain. It is so that our space, our homeland, and our people, each and every one, may truly come to know and experience the genuine taste of prosperity, and may also come to know, in their hearts and lives, the true and lasting taste of happiness. We have tasted enough misery, and we have decided to take responsibility so that we no longer experience misery in the days, months, and years to come, for the benefit of current and future generations. Thank you for everything you are doing. Thank you for everything you have done. May Allah, the most merciful and compassionate, protect our country, our dear and beloved country, Nijer, and all of its wonderful people. May Allah also protect and bless our confederation. Thank you to all the officers, non-commissioned officers, enlisted soldiers, firefighters, gendarmes, national guards, and peacekeepers. Agents of water and forestry, customs officers who make sacrifices, always to keep Niger standing tall. Thank you sincerely to the families who deeply support your important work, who support and take on the responsibility of head of household in your absence, and who bear this responsibility with dignity. Thank you to the Nigerian people who have always believed in its defense and security forces and who have demonstrated their steadfast willingness to consider the ultimate sacrifice for the well-being and safety of our country. May Allah protect us and grant us victory, inshallah. Thank you.
Now, in the final phase of today's video, the Burkinabe legions, right? The combined forces of the VDP and the Rapid Intervention Battalion have just returned from the Barabule front line. And they are coming back to their city. Ladies and gentlemen, the Burkinabes were so happy. They were so proud of their armed forces. And as you can see in the video, the soldiers are coming back in high spirit.
Partagez vidéo, voilà, partagez. La patrie ou la mort, voilà. Donc tout le monde, voilà. Burkina Faso, Burkina Faso, Burkina Faso, Burkina Faso, Burkina Faso, Gandada, Burkimbiwa, wallahi. Partagez, Burkimbiwa, mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. Ya bama, voilà, partagez. Voilà, région de l'Est à l'habitude de tourner. Bama mbe, de tourner mbe, Bama yase, un anza bon fa Burkina Faso. Ya Bama yase un anza bon fa Burkina Faso. Bama naïs Burkina Faso hambe nanguni kokoma. Bama naïs Burkina Faso hambe nanguni kokoma. When l'or pore, ya Bama naïs Burkina Faso hambe nanguni kokoma. Voilà, donc il faut un petit partage. Et tu as ton soldats, Gandara, Raprapa, Rabiama, Gahia, Gay Combo Hontunga. Voilà, yamne. Ya Burkina Faso Gandada, Burkina Faso Rabiama. Allahi manam do akwamba. Wenda Barkia, Wenda Mani Gundum, Wenda Wawia. Et je n'en sais que du nouveau visa Nasa Gilli. Yam Zutan sais que du nouveau visa Nasa Gilli. Gahia. Burkina Faso. Allahi. Ya Soma Wishon. Capitaine Ibrahim Traoré. Capitaine Ibrahim Traoré. No yam ya Gandado. Gahia, Mabisi Gahia. Nyam Sam had boy, Tira Burkina Faso, Tempa, Blende Kanga. Gahia. Burkina Faso. Gahe Burada. Bamato on coup to BBS Kumbangan Shode, Labaman on Kueron. BBS Kumbangan Shod Labama Halakueron. BBS Kumbangan Shodolo Alkioma. BBS Kumbangan Shod Labama Kitabo Alkioma. La Blebon Water. La Biol Henimbuil Katak Vim, while La Kit and Imbuil Katak Lebo Villa Harame. The Bleban now Jeheb Zakramba, the Dina Yakab Kadli. Donc Burkina Faso Mama Bisi, et Suria no Neton Sodasa. Don't Suria no Neton Fede Piramba. Jahia, Combo Antonga. Et Parakandi, and pour Niding who commanded the young Captain Soro. Wallahi, Yarapa, Imanam do Akwamba. Burkina Faso, Rogamikran Hedos Beniamba. Win to Butte Dos Beniamba. Montacatiam na libera Burkina Faso, and he Burkina Faso and Benang in Pokemon. Montacatiam na Inisa Burkina Faso Pokopala Kitanitum. Montacati Burkina Faso in Beniamba. Burkina Faso in Buda Gilpatan Beniam Duna, a Beniam do. Nimbuida Beniam Duna, a Beniam do. Yamneme. Convo like it what to do. Voilà, convo like it what to do. Convo like it what to do. Voilà. Gagne. Rabiama. Yamneme. La patrie ou la mort. Ya nema tek donc tourma la ton chodo asa dosi. Amete mo kat ba kat fa. Yamneme. Gagne. Nyam sam hade pour Nyam da mi ton da tempama ganda do to bi. Amete mo kat la kat fa o toni. Voilà. Bama yi sababti BBS ka teklo al kiyawma. Voilà, la patrie ou la mort. Bama yi sababti BBS ka teklo al kiyawma. Voilà. La yi sababu yone ni mbir ka tek kan de villa haram musuko. Voilà. La patrie ou la mort. Allez, Gahia. La patrie ou la mort, Gahia drapeau en foudi. Ya wotole. Burkina Faso. Ya Soma. Gahia combat en ton ngini. Voilà. La patrie ou la mort. Ambaya. Ya bama. Voilà, quel est yasenan libère ton tenga. When lower poli. Ton Souria no ne yamba. Ton Souria no ne yamba.
Bravo, bravo les gars.
Ton Souria no.
Bravo les gars. Bravo. Bravo. Bravo.
Burkina Faso, Burkina Faso.
Ladies and gentlemen, the front line is the Sahel today. The best we can do is to support them. They've done the heavy lifting, which is stopping these jihadists, which is waging a war of attrition against these jihadists. We can see right before our very before that these jihadists are getting demilitarized massively in the Sahel. So the best thing you can do is to offer your support to this fight in any way or form. Homeland or death, we will prevail. If you like the video, you can do well to click the like, you can share, and if you've not yet subscribed, you can hit the subscribe button. Thank you, and God bless you.